Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll be starting off on your back. Go ahead and lie down, bring the bottoms of your feet together and open your knees wide. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Maybe allow your eyes to close. And just give yourself a few moments of breath here. With every exhale, allow your knees to fall open just a little bit heavier. And then as we're in this restorative posture, notice any areas of your body where you might be holding onto tension. Nothing that you need to change or do anything about right now, but just something to acknowledge as we come into this physical practice. This series today will be a pretty restorative sequence. We'll spend a little bit longer in each posture. Take your hands to the outsides of your legs, close your knees like a book, and then pull your knees up towards your chest. Grab for fingers or wrists or forearms and start to find a little bit of side-to-side movement. And now bring your hands onto your knees and start to draw some opposing circles through your knees. So this will help to find a little more range of motion and lubrication through the hip joint. And start to take these circles in the opposite direction. Maybe each circle gets a little bit bigger than the last. And then bring your knees back into your chest. Take a little bit of movement here. And cactus your arms out to the side and let your knees fall over towards the left for an easy spinal twist. If it feels okay with your neck, you can bring your gaze over to the right. Notice if your right shoulder is coming up off the ground, that's okay. We're early in the practice, so we just want to notice where the spine is, how things are feeling. And then send breath into your twist. And now slowly bring your knees back to center. We're just going to take this the opposite way. So your knees will fall over towards the right, and then you can bring your gaze over towards the left. Try to maintain those deep, steady breaths. Full big breath in through the belly. And exhale. And now slowly release. Bring your knees back to center. Bring your hands behind your thighs and rock and roll yourself upright. We're coming into an all fours tabletop position. Bring your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. And we start to move through this cat-cow. So every inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze. And every exhale, press into the ground and dome through your upper back for your cat spine. And keep moving through this with breath. You can go as quickly or slowly as you need to go. If there's any additional movements that you'd like to find, sometimes I like to take some circles through the spine, through the head, through the neck. Feel free to take that for yourself. Just make sure you're infusing your breath with your movement. Find bigger range of motion with every cat and cow. Your spine becomes warmer, your core starts to activate. Your shoulders start to fire up as well here. Come back to neutral and extend your left leg out to the side, and then send your hips back down towards your right heel. And then keep this going forwards and backwards. So this is a really nice stretch for your inner left thigh and groin. Take this at any pace that feels good in your body. Maybe you want to linger a little bit longer with your hip down on your heel. You can stay there. Just as we found in the cat-cow, make sure that you're infusing your breath with your movement. And now bring yourself back up. Take your left leg back behind you and we rotate out into a modified side plank. So swivel your right ankle and then reach your left arm up. And then reach your left arm up overhead. So we have this nice side body stretch all along the left side of your body. Actively plug the outer edge of your left foot down into the ground. Continuously try to rotate your heart space up towards your ceiling. Keep your breaths moving. Maybe stretch a little bit further with your top left hand. And now slowly release and bring yourself back to all fours however you need to get there. And And then from here, other side, extend your right leg out to the side and start to move your hips back and forth. So we start to move through and find this opening through the right inner thigh and groin. Press into your hands to send your hip back to your heel. Take this as quickly or slowly as feels comfortable. Start to get a little more open through your right hip as well. Bring yourself back up and now take your right leg back around behind you and then open up into your modified side plank. So you can swivel your left ankle and then reach your right arm up and reach your right arm up overhead. Actively press the outer edge of your right foot into your mat and then try to rotate your heart space up towards your ceiling. Feel that nice long stretch all the way from your right fingertips all the way to the outer edge of your right foot. Every inhale, find a little more length, a little more stretch. And now slowly bring yourself back to a tabletop position. And then from tabletop, flip your toes and we find downward facing dog. First downward facing dog in our series today. If you want to find a little bit of movement, you can pedal out through your feet. You can maybe take some movement in the upper body, in the head and the shoulders. And now find a neutral downward facing dog. Spread your fingers wide, energize your heels in the direction of the mat, and try to press your armpits toward your big toes. Come back to your deep, full breaths here. And now walk your feet up towards your hands. We're coming into a ragdoll pose. Separate your feet about hips width distance and find a bend with your knees. So make sure you're not locking through your knee joint. Allow the crown of your head to just drop heavy down towards the ground. If you want to find a little soft movement, maybe a gentle sway through the upper body, that can feel nice here. Bend your knees a little bit deeper and then slowly start to roll yourself one vertebrae at a time all the way up to stand. Shoulders and head are the last thing to arrive. Once you get there, give yourself a few shoulder rolls. Just find some release of tension through the upper body. And now reach both of your arms up. We're going to move into some neck stretches here. So with your left hand, catch your right ear and then tip your head up and over towards the left. Now you can stay in a static stretch, or maybe you want to find a little bit of movement through your head. To add a little additional stretch, you can actively reach your right fingertips downwards towards a right diagonal. Breathe into your stretch, find more length. And then we switch, reach your right arm up, catch your left ear, and then tip your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Now, option to stay static and still in this stretch, or you can find just a little bit of movement. You might feel the stretch a little bit differently through your neck and shoulder, depending on how you want to move your head. Just be very, very gentle. Option to reach your left fingertips out to a left diagonal to get a little more intensity through the stretch. And then release. And then from here, open your legs wide, and we're coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Drop your chin down to your chest and release your body down into this fold. We're gonna be here for a little bit. If there's any variation you'd like to take in this stretch, maybe you shift your hips from side to side. You can bend into one knee or the other, moving into some side-to-side lunges. Maybe you have a headstand variation you'd like to play around with. You can find that here as well. Or you can just stay in a wide-legged forward fold. This is a great stretch for your hamstrings and for your inner thighs. This is a great way to find release through your torso. We're moving into a seated spinal twist, so take your left leg underneath your right. Try to plug both of your butt bones into the mat, reach your left arm up, cross it over your right knee. With every inhale, allow your spine to lengthen. With every exhale, find twist. Now, option to stay here. If this irritates your knee or your hip, you can extend your bottom left leg as I'm demonstrating here. We get just as good of a twist through the torso and a nice glute opener in this variation of the posture. And then we can find that same idea with breath. Slowly unravel, counter twist up and over towards the left. Take a few moments for breath here. Find heaviness through your torso. And now slowly bring yourself up and come back to a wide-legged forward fold. So however you need to bring yourself there, separate your legs and then just come back into this deep stretch. Allow a bend in your knees, allow a sway in your upper body. Think that the back of your neck could get longer. The space between each vertebrae could get longer and expand. Keep your breaths moving into your stretch. And now we transition into the seated spinal twist on the opposite side. So your right leg will go behind your left. Reach your right arm up, bring it over your left thigh. On every inhale, think of finding length through your spine. Every exhale, think of finding a deeper twist. And if you'd like to find that variation, you can extend your right leg. So we still maintain that twist through the upper torso, and we're still getting a nice glute stretch through the left glute. Counter twist up and over to the right. Breathe here. And then slowly bring yourself back up. We're gonna come into a very deep hip opener here called a double pigeon. So bring your left shin parallel and then try to stack your right shin on top of your left. Now, my hips aren't super open to do this posture. Sometimes it can be helpful to place any sort of block underneath your right knee. I was just demonstrating if you want to apply a little bit of pressure to your top right knee, you can find that as well. Option to keep your body upright or option to crawl your body forward as I'm demonstrating here. This is a very intense hip opener. Make sure that your breath is constant, that you're not holding your breath. You're definitely breathing into the stretch. Your breath is your best tool in this kind of deep hip opener. Slowly release. Bring your feet so they're flat. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Lift your hips, altar pose, maybe drop your head. And then slowly release your hips back down to the ground, and we take this double pigeon pose on the opposite side. So now your right shin will come parallel, and then stack your left shin on top of your right. Try to flex both of your feet. Option to stay upright, maybe you want to apply just a little bit of pressure to your inner left thigh as I'm showing here. Sometimes it can be helpful to have a little bit of support under the left knee as well. Option to stay upright and just feel your butt bones plug down into the ground, or option to crawl and release your body forward. Wherever you are, just make sure that you're breathing into your stretch. Keep your feet flexed to protect your knee. Let your head sink heavier. And now slowly release. Roll yourself out of this wherever you are. Unravel your legs, bring your feet so they're flat again. Fingers point towards your heels, lift your hips up, drop your head, reverse tabletop. Slowly lower your hips and then roll yourself all the way down onto your back. Let your legs be long and heavy in front of you, and let your arms come heavy by your side. Maybe allow your eyes to close. Come into this final meditation, this final Shavasana. Take this moment to center back into your physical body and center back into your breath. Take these final moments to find full, complete inhales and exhales. Thanks for joining us, and that's your flow.